Good morning, everybody. I'm Nancy Bandel, Chairperson of the NCAC Bylaws Subcommittee, and I call the meeting to order at 9:02 a.m. Could the other subcommittee members please introduce yourselves and declare any conflicts?
Wyatt
Mike-
Angelo, no conflicts.
Susan
Michael
Schwab, no
Beachley.
conflicts.
Michael Beachley, no conflicts.
I'm sorry, no conflicts.
And I have no conflicts, so welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. Mark's going to be attending for the first hour, so I expect him in a moment. And there's a slight possibility Sarah will, but I don't think she will. So I'm just going to share the agenda.
Interesting.
So did everybody have a chance to look at the meeting folder? I know we put in a lot of things right at the end, but we do have the agenda, the feedback presentation updated. Thank you, Tom, very much. The policies and procedures updated. What did I do? Put into the same one instead of, I guess I did. I thought I had one as clean and one as marked up, but Tom's going to do that anyway. And then the minutes and the draft bylaws amendments, clean and marked up. And then an agenda for the membership meeting. So I'm going to start with our agenda for today, and the calendar's getting shorter. That basically approve the minutes if you have had a chance to read them. We'll discuss that in a moment. My report, and then Mark, if he has some comments. Mark, welcome. I see you've joined us. So thank you for coming. And then review our policies, procedures, and references, including in there will be the bylaws amendments document. They kind of go hand in hand. And then look at our feedback session planning, look at the special membership meeting and action items. So Mark, I know you have to leave at 10. Would you like us to move up? Why don't we move up the special membership meeting planning while you're here?
Oh, okay.
And then just to go through the calendar, our final feedback session is tomorrow. And how many of you are able to attend that? Everybody? Great. And then I haven't looked yet to see how many are registered. So we'll see, but I'm expecting we'll hopefully have at least one. And then our executive board meeting is on the 28th. Our membership meeting to adopt the PP&R and the bylaws amendments is on the 31st. Ding, ding, ding. And then we have two more bylaws subcommittee meetings before the end of the term. June 14th is our membership meeting at which hopefully we will all have applied and be elected, I hope, and possibly some others. So that's it. That's all for that. I'm just going to leap over the minutes for a moment since we have the calendar up and ask if anyone would object if we set up another placeholder subcommittee meeting. It's the just in case. So I had a good meeting with Sarah yesterday by Teams, and I think she's very supportive of what we're doing, and I think everything's looking really good. But should the county come back before the membership meeting on May 31st, it might be nice for us to have some time to just go over any of those changes before the meeting. So we could do it on either the 30th or a week before on the 23rd if we have some other things. But I don't anticipate we're going to have much to do because we have to notice all this. So it would just strictly be a placeholder and also to plan in case any things come up for the membership meeting itself. So what would you think of scheduling a meeting that would be hopefully short for the 30th? And then we could cancel if we need to.
Yeah.
What time would it be on the 30th?
What time would you need it to be, Susan?
Well, if it's in the morning, that works.
Okay. What if we do it?
What's flying?
Should we just keep it at the regular 9 o'clock time?
Yeah.
Okay, any objections to that? Michael?
No, I can't make that morning. That's a really, really full weekend and
Yeah,
that morning is already locked up.
Okay, but I think you're not gonna be able to make the meeting on Saturday either, so I think we could fill you in probably beforehand. Get your comments
That'd
if
be
that
fine.
works.
Yeah. I'm predisposed that week.
Yeah.
And
With many, many busy
yes,
things,
yeah,
so yes,
and yeah, you know what they are.
I do. So thank you for sharing that, and
Sure.
so okay, if there, it sounds like there are no objections, we'll go ahead and set a meeting for May 30th at 9 a.m. Hopefully it'll be short, and I'll cancel it if it looks like we don't need to meet. And I'll let Candace and Gary know to add it to the where we just have to have 7 days notice for a committee meeting. So thank you very much. So I know the minutes were posted yesterday evening. Do you want to take a moment to look at them? Has anyone had a chance to review them?
I had,
Okay, okay. So should we just defer that to the next meeting?
yeah,
If you like, they're awfully short, both of them, because really all we did was review on those last two meetings. And there is on the second one only one error that I saw, and that is that I have Susan's name down there twice, and one of them actually was Susan Tom's site.
Oh, did I not catch that one?
No, well,
Okay.
yeah, and neither did I, but that's okay. That Tom, you now have a new name.
That's okay.
Yeah,
So I think it's fine. Michael, thank you for getting them in, but I think we have so much to cover today. Why don't we just defer
yeah,
them?
just
to the next
move them
meeting.
on. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Nothing important there.
Okay, but if you guys do have a chance to review them, and other than the error that Michael mentioned, just get something to Michael, that would be great. Thank you. Okay, so my report, I had, as I mentioned, Sarah and I talked yesterday, and I just wanted to kind of make sure we're on the same page, because it's been a while since we talked about the process of going forward and making sure she's comfortable with what we're doing, and she was. So it was a really good meeting, and it sounds like if we can get her everything by the end of the day on Sunday, and hopefully we can do it even before that, in terms of the bylaws changes, including I'll need to have a red line version, which I'll work on. But the bylaws changes and the PPNR document itself, then she can take that to county council as she sees fit, and she can review it. It sounded like she might actually be able to get it done before our membership meeting, but I told her what we could do at the membership meetings, have a motion that, a motion to adopt these pending approval by the county. So she thought all that sounded good. She was very complimentary about everything we're doing, and yeah, I just wanted to pass on to all of you how appreciative she is of what we're doing. So one thing she did mention that we'll have to cogitate about to see how we could do it, but is if there's something we could put in about into the PPNR about changing positions after they're made. And it's not something that's happening with our CAC, it's happening with another CAC where there was a decision made by the CAC about 4 years ago, and now they want to change it. It involves some zoning things, so it's coming up with the middle housing thing again. And so I know, there's some things in Robert's Rules of Order about changing decisions, motions to reconsider by someone from the prevailing side, that kind of thing. But it's usually intended to be pretty quickly in a meeting or immediately, at the next meeting. It's not 4 years later. So so we'll have to think about that, and if we can do it, we can. If you guys have any thoughts about it as we're having the meeting today, we can think about it, but it may just have to wait. This will be a living document, and we can think about it for next year. So,
Nancy,
My
before,
concern about that is that we don't want to make it difficult for us to reconsider something we've said.
Mhm.
I mean,
Right,
there's, a motion to reconsider is a particular thing that almost nobody in Tillamook County has ever heard of.
Right.
So, yeah, I struggle to maybe some barrier like 2/3 majority or something, but that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, and it would have to be, I think the situation she's talking about isn't really something that would happen right away. It would be, how do we handle something if people want to think about it later? And I think in most cases, if it doesn't involve zoning kinds of things, I think you could just bring it up as a new item,
It's a new
somebody
item.
wants, and you could go through the history. I don't know, Michael, you should put your thinking cap on this too. On, you know, you don't want to have to keep bringing things up all the time over and over and over again, but it's something
Well,
for us to think about.
motions to reconsider are always and exclusively brought up by the majority.
Mhm.
And that keeps the minority from, being testy and a problem. And more often than not, reconsideration occurs because new information comes in or some
Right.
problem arises or whatever. And I think that it's in order at any time, even though it does make sense 2, 3, 4 years down the road. And otherwise, it's probably more meaningful to have a new motion to amend or
Mhm.
restructure or something other than just simply bringing the same darn argument back up again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. So you think actually you could do a motion to reconsider even a couple of years later, or you think it'd be better to do a new motion at that point?
Oh, I think it's a new motion.
Yeah,
By
yeah.
that time, the world's changed,
Right.
and unless, well, I'd have to look at the context and the actual issue itself, but more often than not, if it's much later, it's probably a brand new motion or a motion to
Mhm.
amend the bylaws or, whatever it is.
Right.
But it
Right.
doesn't make
Right.
much sense that we actually just look right back straight at the same darn thing we did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nancy,
Although,
And
there's a possibility. I mean, there's always a possibility that something is appropriate there
yeah,
and we'd
right.
have to look at it. Yeah.
Right. I think we're on the same page there. I'm sorry, who did I cut off?
that was me. I'm generally in agreement, but I guess I would like a little bit more specifics from the county as to context, number one. And secondly, what their parameters or desired parameters are, because they're going to make the final call anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
It was an issue with some building height in one of the communities that where they had taken a vote to lower the maximum building height by 5 feet from 35 to 30 feet, I think. And that had all been agreed upon, sounds like 4 or 5 years ago. And then the county never actually acted on it. They had a lot of other things going on, so they never said yes or no, but apparently it's been in place for a while. And so now with the middle housing discussions going on, there are some people who would like to put it back to where it was, if I'm interpreting this right. I could be wrong, but they want to go back to where it had been, as if it had never happened. And so then you're getting into, some issues of, have people already done have built things according to that plan, and it's kind of a mess. So to me, that's beyond a CAC kind of activity. It's really at that point more of a county determination. And Sarah did say though that it would be helpful to have in the bylaws something about that. So or in the policies and procedures, since nobody else has policies and procedures, something about that kind of situation. So in this case, it's something that affects people's property. It's to me, it's a more complicated thing that involves lawyers, probably. So, but it was an interesting thing for her to bring up in terms of other decisions. So so it's just something I'm throwing out that came out of the meeting that she had asked us to think about. Because she sent people back to their bylaws, and of course their bylaws are kind of like ours were 2 or 3 years ago. And I don't know that they've actually approved their bylaws ever. I know they show from like 2006 or something on most of the CACs. So,
I wonder if it's, I wonder if it's ever appropriate for us to offer to share our journey on doing bylaws with other organizations. Does she know that?
yeah, no, she knows that we're happy to talk about it. Mark, I don't know if that's ever come up in one of your CAC chair meetings.
Um, yeah, I mean, she has talked about our bylaws as being a pretty good model for the county, for all communities, and she's made that known to the CAC chairs that attend the meetings. Um, so I think I don't know where other chairs are in terms of updating their bylaws or where they are with what they have. Um, but yeah, she's made that known.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we'd be happy to let them know. So that's really, I think, pretty much all I have. But I know how immersed she is right now in the middle housing and the community plans and that kind of thing. So it was helpful to get her attention. And when I sent her an email, I CC'd Mark like the day before, and that afternoon I had a note to go into a meeting. So she was very quick. I appreciated that. So that's about it. We'll go on to your any comments you have, Mark?
Let's see. No, well, let me think here. I did send Susan just an email this morning. Susan, I'm putting together something. Maybe you can look at it later today or tomorrow or something. There's no rush on it. But I'm putting together comments for the NCA meeting on Memorial Day weekend on that Sunday. I'm going to be away during that time, so Randall's going to read it, and so I'm putting together something for him. And it'll be touching on the bylaws and PPNRs and that work and the Community Plan Steering Committee and their work, a little bit on middle housing, updating personnel for the NCAC. Mentioned, Susan, you're the chair of the Outreach Task Force. And my question was about, I know that we have, the names escape me right now. I know we have two, Heidi maybe and Kim. I don't know about Lynn. So Wintermute. But anyways, if you just take a look at that email and updating that Gary's not continuing on and we're looking for a secretary, and then just at the end, a statement about the NCAC and working towards or feel like we are in full transparency mode and Oregon public meeting law, and people can see the videos whenever they want and attend the meetings and make comments and the link and all that stuff. So that's over Memorial Day weekend. We have a meeting on the 28th. We have the membership meeting on the 31st. We have another general membership meeting on the 14th. And then interspersed there, we have steering committee meetings and bylaw meetings. So, a full slate of things. I would just say, and Tom knows this more than I do, but I'm writing something on the middle housing to talk about, and I don't want to get too specific about it to the NCA, but that the community plan and the middle housing are going to be, well, the middle housing, but for sure, and the community plan because the middle housing's embedded in it, but it's going to be a big deal. I think in terms of, us trying to meet that and land coming up for sale and being developed and, houses going in or cottage clusters or anything, those kinds of things. So, it's going to be an ongoing, kind of big event over the next few years. So I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And you think the community plan effort will go at least through the calendar year, correct? It's not like a summer project or anything.
Well, Tom, you can speak to that, Tom, I think.
Well,
What's your sense?
they have illusions of finishing up fairly soon. I don't share those illusions.
Me either.
I'm still analyzing the feedback we got a couple of days ago from the consultants, and they seem not to have paid much attention to our recommendations and they have yet a different format. So it's a bit tedious to go through their report and find out what they're missing. So that's what I'm doing with that. So we may have some disagreements with what the consultants think we should have.
And it sounds
How
like
soon
they
we're going to be
didn't,
done? I don't know. We're probably going to remove the middle housing from the actually we decided to do that. Middle housing is going to be done and dusted before the community plan is done, so it doesn't make sense to embed it. So it's going to be
Okay,
has been extracted, so
okay,
that won't be in the new one.
okay.
interesting. So two separate reports then.
Yeah.
Any
makes
idea
sense.
when the community plan feedback sessions will start?
They did. They've been going on, and we got one person one time and nobody the second time.
See them advertised on the website as feedback sessions. I thought they were just subcommittee meetings.
No, we had some scheduled.
Really?
I don't remember exactly when.
Because I've tried to attend every feedback session. I don't think I'd missed any.
Yeah, I
They have
think,
subcommittee meetings, but not feedback sessions.
yeah, I think Tom's right. There has been some feedback, but I do think that, and you have a meeting coming up on the 19th, I know, Tom,
Yeah.
so I've been trying to attend those, but we're gonna, I think we do want to label them feedback sessions clearly from here out, and when you want to have them, and so that folks can be involved in them. And I just think people still aren't, let me back up a little bit. The steering committee does plan to send out a draft of the community plan. I've been talking to Gary about the best way to do that. And Gary says that we can send it as an attachment to an email to every member in the NCAC. So, so that is, I think, in the works for maybe right before the June 14th general membership meeting. And so when we send that out, that'll be something that everybody can look at. And I guess just in my thinking after that, it would be nice to have feedback sessions, clearly labeled feedback sessions periodically, maybe a couple over the summer. I know it's a busy time for everybody, but something like that to get some feedback from the community about the draft.
They're not planning to take a vote at the June meeting, are they?
No,
Okay.
we're ways away from that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's a ways away. And since Tom said that the middle housing will be not a part of the community plan, I don't know. There are two things there. The middle housing will be, it's the county has it now, has our views on it for Nescoin, and the county's looking at it, and they're going to have hearings on middle housing. And on Monday, the CAC chairs meet, and we'll get the schedule for those hearings, and that'll be public. We'll advertise that or post that so that Nescoin residents can attend hearings if they like on middle housing to look at that. But I kind of don't see, maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but I don't see, I'm not sure that, maybe I think about this wrong. I'm not sure that we're ever going to divorce ourselves totally from the middle housing. In other words, us just pointing to the county as, maybe we will, but I don't know if it's going to come back as, we'll see what they give us, but I don't know if, I think we'll always have some way to provide input to the county on middle housing going forward, whether it's something we don't like or something we don't like. I think more to be determined on that, but I think we're going to be wrapped up in it for a while.
Well, the middle housing initiative is meant to be folded into the zoning regulations.
Yeah.
So we'll still have that avenue of
Right.
commenting on the zoning. So yeah, it can be ongoing.
Yeah, I could see questions coming to the NCAC that have to do with middle housing, to be honest, and us maybe not
Yeah.
even knowing the answer. So I just don't think we're ever going to separate ourselves, the NCAC and the community, from middle housing and with the county. I don't see us separating, but
It'll just be separate reports, but we'll still be having meetings to talk about it and take votes on sending a report or something to the recommendation to the county.
it'll be a topic at meetings for a while. I
Yeah,
can imagine.
yeah.
Has the county
Okay.
asked for the CAC's feedback on middle housing formally?
Define formally.
Well, Sarah's kind of injected this kind of subject matter into our conversations. But the county commissioners, have they, I mean, they're holding public hearings, which of course gives us an opportunity to express our, as a CAC, but have they asked for separate CAC opinions on the middle housing at this point?
Well, we have given them, I think we had the opportunity. I'm not sure if they solicited it or we just did it, but I took their recommendations and I made them readable. And then then we changed the readable version. They, as I mentioned earlier, they've not maintained that format. They did their own format, which was different than their previous format.
I don't know how you're doing it, Tom. I mean, you're in the subcommittee, or I tell you, but I think I'm going to move us on because we have a lot to cover. But this is all critical stuff, and thank you, Mark, for bringing that up. I mean, there's a lot going on. But yeah, Tom, if you guys have been considering those meetings you've been having weekly as feedback sessions, I sure wasn't aware of that.
No, they're not really, those are not the feedback sessions, the ones this month, but we had some previously. And I may have been confused on that. Anyway, we did have feedback sessions on the middle housing.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I just have one or two meetings. I don't know why I get them confused.
Can't imagine, Tom. So let's move on to the special membership planning agenda while Mark is here. And I'm just gonna share that. Mark's already seen it and approved it. And we can talk about, so I think it's going to be Tom and Wyatt and I will be representing the subcommittee at this. We're going to basically do, for anyone who cares to show up, do Michael's parliamentary procedures training, and I've put his document in the meeting folder for this. At this point, the only things in the meeting folder is the agenda and the parliamentary procedures training thing. But after we finalize our submission to the county and to the membership, I'll add those in. So our requirements for bylaws changes is 10 days. And I will be discussing today the requirements for changing the PPNRs or submitting them would also be 10 days notice, I think. But anyway, so we'll add those as we can. But basically introductions, Mark will call the meeting to order. It's Mark's meeting. Review the agenda. And then Mark, I think you could either turn it over to us to go through the process, or you can go through the process. I can't really remember what we did last year, but I know we had a process, a brief process description. And then consideration of the adoption of the NCAC bylaws amendments. I think they kind of need to go first. It'll become clear, I think, as we do the feedback sessions. And then consideration of the adoption of the NCAC policies, procedures, and references. So the bylaws amendments require 2/3 majority vote. The PPNR require a simple majority vote to approve. So we'll kind of, so far, as you all know, we haven't had any disagreement with anything. The people who have been involved have been very uniformly positive about it. So I'm not anticipating anything. My biggest concern about this is quorum, as we've talked about. So we're all going to need to make an effort to make sure we get at least 15 people there. So that are members, So we'll talk about that again. But any comments on the agenda? It's
Yeah,
pretty
tell me-
simple.
Yeah, tell me about the 1 o'clock parliamentary procedures training.
So it's basically what you did last year, Michael, before we had the bylaws vote. So going through that document that you have, just basically, how do you make a motion? How do you make an amendment? And some of the philosophy behind it. It'll be really simple. I don't think it actually
Okay.
takes a half an hour. But
Mhm.
pretty much what you did last year. If
Okay,
you want to
I can-
confer on that ahead of time, we
Yeah.
could do
I,
that.
I can do that on that Saturday. It's right after that I have to leave.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay. Okay, if you think so. Otherwise, I'm happy to do it. So,
yeah.
because you have a very tight window on Saturdays.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
busy day. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
things
if you
happen.
want to, if you want to take that on, then
Yeah.
great. And
Okay.
if it gets messy, just let me know, and I'm happy to handle it. So.
You got a broom?
Yeah, no, it's I think we just keep it very simple. I just,
Yeah.
last year we actually had to use it quite a bit. Actually, we had some
Mhm.
amendments to amendments.
Right,
I don't think we got to the third layer, but
Right.
I don't anticipate that this year.
Mhm.
So I could be wrong, but it could be
Yep,
everybody
yep.
wakes up on the 30th and goes, "What the heck is all this?" But I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we waited around a few minutes for a quorum.
Yeah, I hope not.
I
I
do
want us to
too.
have everything in place.
Um,
I want to
yeah.
understand how many people and who there are before.
Mm.
Yeah. And worst case is if we don't get a quorum and we can't call around to get a quorum, is it'll just have to be moved to the June 14th membership meeting.
Okay. Well, I will have to leave quite shortly after 1:30, so I'll do
Mhm.
that and then turn it over to you, if that's okay, Nancy.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, good. Yeah. Is that
Sounds
all
good.
right, Mark?
Yeah, that sounds fine. And I'm just remembering
Okay.
I'll need to go over the voting, the voting
Mhm.
Yeah.
statement, I
Yeah.
should say, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
yes, in fact, I should add that to the agenda, shouldn't I? I forgot about so I'll add that wording to the bottom of the agenda,
Okay,
and put it back up. And
it's just a
then,
good reminder, yeah, but I'll
yeah,
remember that, yeah.
and then Mark, I'll go over with you the poll questions. Because
Oh,
I think we should have those prepared and
Yeah.
then I can get those written ahead of time. I think Gary will be running the meeting, so he'll have to change any of the poll stuff, but
Okay,
You're
I think
talking
they'll
about
be
the,
pretty simple.
talking about the on-screen questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
the voting, the motion
Yeah.
to adopt the bylaws amendments and the motion to adopt the PPNR. I'll send the questions to all of you so you can have a chance to weigh in on that too, but they'll be pretty simple motions. Okay, and we'll have some backup in case there are any amendments. So, can have it as presented or as amended, blah, blah, blah.
I think on the voting part of it, my guess is that it's going to just breeze right on through. I can't imagine any controversy, but that being said, we need to prepare for that controversy just in case. And the hiccup there has to do with how many votes are out there, who's voting, how many people actually voting are members, and all of that sort of thing. So we might want to talk about that up front about how do we capture how many people and who is actually there voting. All of that mechanism stuff there.
Yeah, and we do that routinely. And we certainly will be doing it at that meeting. So Zoom
Yeah.
has some ways to capture all that, Michael, of who's actually
yeah.
there, not just
Yeah.
people who have registered. And I do screenshots. So
Oh, do you?
I do.
Yeah.
Gary does too. So yeah, there's we've got
Well,
that pretty well in hand.
Yeah, it really has to do more about, who's not actually on the screen. Two people sitting there, but only one
Right.
face. Yeah, like that.
Absolutely. You're right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we'll make sure that
People let us know.
yeah, absolutely. And we did that at the last, I guess it was the last membership meeting. We made sure too that people showed who they were, because there were a number of people that we were working on a quorum for that meeting and so for the election. Okay, moving on. So any other comments on May 31st? Okay, so let's get to the big part, our PP&R review and update with the bylaws amendments. I know the bylaws amendments came in pretty late. Did anyone have a chance to look at those? Probably not. Okay. And please let us know if you don't have a chance. I wonder if we should have another. Well, it's too late. We can't have another meeting in a week. Tom, do you want to present the PP&R document first, or do you want us to go to the bylaws amendments first?
Well, it seems
Because-
like the bylaws should be first because that's gonna monitor, it's gonna have an impact on what's left in the PP&R.
Yeah. Okay. So let me go
But
into
that's
that.
not my document anymore. Not my
I
document.
know, I've taken it over, so I'm going to share that. If I can find the right one. I want the one that's marked up. Of course, I didn't close. I think it's this one. Did the marked up one? Yes. Oh, good. I actually got the right one. Okay, this is in the meeting folder too, both the marked up one and the clean copy. And I worked really hard to keep your format, Tom, including your font. So some of this is the same. So Tom had put in, since we're doing the bylaws anyway, the acronym change from PMP to PP&R. Enough said. So this officer limit is new. We talked about it briefly in the last bylaws subcommittee meeting, or maybe it was the feedback session. I think it was the feedback session. That Article 4, and I have unnamed first section, I think. Tom, were you gonna, probably you weren't gonna try to actually put in a section name at this point, it's too complicated, right?
We could call it introduction or something
Okay.
like that.
Okay, that
We'll figure
sounds
it out.
good.
We'll give it a name.
Okay, thank you.
Or paragraph to be named later.
Okay, so let me just say introduction. Because we'll assume you'll do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can assume that.
Thank you. So an NCAC member may hold no more than one position on the executive board. So I just added for discussion, unless this is a defined duty of the office, because as I've talked with you each individually, we're looking at having the monitoring task force report directly to the vice chairperson, like the communications task force reports directly to the secretary. So we want to make sure that that's clarified, that that's a defined duty of the office as opposed to holding two positions. And the rationale is that holding multiple positions limits opportunities for more people to get involved, reduces focus on each position taken, and can give undue influence in the work of the NCAC, and it might result in burnout. So any comments on
Yes.
this? Uh-huh.
You used the word may. We don't use that word.
We don't.
Shall.
Better?
Shall not.
Well, shall hold no more than one. So, okay, shall not hold, take out more. No.
Yeah. Unless you
Okay.
want a triple negative in there. Right?
I think that works for me. Is that okay with people? Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, Tom, good call.
Yeah.
My concern is the in that same sentence, second clause, the word "this" is sort of hanging there.
Nebulous. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless what is a defined duty?
Unless the duty is.
The duty
Um,
or the task force? Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that's clear right there.
Because a subcommittee is not going to report directly, but a task force might,
Mhm.
Gotcha.
unless a task force.
That actually is much clearer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
There
good,
we go.
Michael.
Okay. Mhm. Yeah, that does it.
Unless it, yeah, okay. And we can wordsmith it. The motions at the meeting will also be to allow for editorial changes as needed, like it was last year too, so. But good. Okay, any other comments on this? Okay,
No,
so
I have a
hearing,
general comment on process. We should probably we should have the other available, the marked up new version, but I should think this would be what we would vote on, this document.
yes, I
Okay.
agree. It's just the red line version for the bylaws is for county council. Because he
Yep.
requires it. So I can do that pretty quickly. Tom, I know you've got a ton on your hand already, and I did it last year, so I don't think it's gonna be nearly as complicated as last year's was, but by any means, but you and I can talk after.
Okay.
One of us will do it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, on to office, and I reordered this so that it's in the order of the bylaws. So so by article number. So this officer limit is Article 4, and then office of the vice chairperson. This is something that I've talked with each of you individually about, and so, but we'll just go over it here for the record that currently the vice chairperson really has little to do, so other than serve as a backup for the chairperson. But the new monitoring task force has very important work. And no one dedicated to act on the issues that may arise from its activities. So this came out of a discussion Susan and I had on discussing the questions that remained in for the monitoring task force. And we had the idea that, gosh, it could report to the secretary or to the vice chairperson and solve a number of things. It gives the vice chairperson something to do, and it gives the monitoring task force a good entry into the executive board for acting on things that arise. The other part of it is that it gives the vice chairperson the responsibility of arranging for speakers or suggesting speakers to the executive board, which that person is in a great position for hearing the input from the monitoring task force members. So it gives 2 additional responsibilities. And so the proposal is to add the 2 duties to the vice chairperson responsibilities, which are outlined down here. So here's the current duties, and we're just adding these redlined ones. First one is to chair the monitoring task force as described in Article 7, Section D, which would be new. So part of this proposal is that we take the old PEEP policy section 15, I can't remember off the top of my head, and put it in the bylaws. So right now the communications task force duties are in the bylaws or the establishment of the committee, and because it's a standing task force, this would be a standing task force also, and along with the standing bylaws subcommittee should be in the bylaws, and then the more detailed information would be in the procedures in the PPNR. So so that would be a suggestion, is to put that in section D, renumber the later sections. And then plan speakers and or programs for membership meetings with the concurrence of the executive board. So any discussion on that, first of all,
Yeah.
having it in the bylaws as opposed to the PPNR, adding these duties?
Yeah, I've got a procedural concern, I guess. The issues that we have identified with respect to the vice chair that we're proposing a bylaw amendment to, or seems like that's where we're headed anyway. The notice of bylaw changes or proposed changes has to be not less than 10 days.
Mhm.
I was looking at the wording, written notice of the amendments
Mhm.
has been mailed to all members at least 10 days prior to the meeting. We are at the 15th.
Emailed, right?
Right. Well, it just says mailed, I think. Emailed, I'm sorry, Nancy, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
But we have not previously sent this to members 10 days beforehand, have we?
Right, so tomorrow's the feedback session, and almost immediately following the feedback session this weekend, we will be sending out the version that's going to go to members. That's why we're under, so we have 2 weeks from tomorrow before the membership meeting. to adopt it. So I have 14 days from tomorrow. So
So-
we're within the window.
Okay, I'm sorry for my confusion. I'm trying to remember, when are we scheduled to approve the PPNRs and the bylaws changes?
May 31st at our special membership meeting on May 31st.
Okay, all right. I'm counting. All right, I guess we're okay. All right.
Yeah, no, we are, and I'm glad you brought it up, Wyatt, because it's always good to check. But yeah, that's something I've been very, very cognizant of. So that's why we're doing this final feedback session 2 weeks before. So it gives us a couple of days to go through, and if there's any additional feedback from the session, we can
Yeah,
get that
okay.
through.
All
We can
right.
also make changes, of course, in the meeting itself on May 31st, but in terms of the notice, we want this document to be tight going into the feedback session. So today's meeting is really important.
All right.
And obviously there can, if we get some concerns before then, and we have some tweaks, we should provide notices as much as we can, but we can also make amendments as committee members. You can make amendments to, and we can make amendments from the committee if we have this meeting on May 30th as needed. So hopefully there's nothing major that we would be doing, but we can
Right.
make those in the meeting on May 31st. But this is the intent of taking this draft and why did I go over here? Taking this draft document and turning it into something that will be recommended. So at the end of this effort, at the end of the day, I want to have actual motions from the committee to pass that on to the membership pending any updates from the feedback session tomorrow. For both this and the PPNR. Does that sound okay? Other than editorial changes, because there are going to be some editorial changes. There's just been a lot that has to, does that sound okay?
I have a
Okay,
comment about the second one there.
okay,
The one that says planned speakers and or programs, et cetera. We had a discussion about that and recognized that as time goes on, the membership is going to be less and less excited and interested in bylaws and all of those sorts of things. And that one of the valuable contributions we can make to the community is to create a mechanism by which the community comes together to enjoy each other, to get to know each other, to recognize community relationships and so on. And it seems to me that it would be a valuable thing to move into our organizational life, speakers from time to time on a variety of subjects, lots of different subjects, subjects that have something to do with other than organization and business and so on, but have something to do with the environment or something to do with forests or something to do with emergencies or whatever it is. But when membership comes to these meetings, that they have something that that interesting, educational, entertaining, or something other than just business.
exactly, Michael.
Yeah.
And that's what we have up here.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think there's a lot of value with this. I think everybody we've talked to is excited, and Mark was very positive about it, and Alex was like, "Oh, this sounds great." So,
Yeah, right.
which
Yeah.
was a really nice reaction. It's almost like he was looking for something concrete to do that would add value. He loved the idea. So yeah, I'm going to move us on now. If there's no objection, I'll move us on. And thank you, Susan. We had a really good discussion where all this popped up. So as she was going off to Paris. Office of the Secretary, there's nothing new here. We've already discussed all this. It's just been moved down, except for, I guess we added in hold ultimate responsibility for NCAC communications, but shall delegate communications task to the communications task force as described in Article 7 of these bylaws and in the policies, procedures, and references. So, Tom, you can decide if that needs to be spelled out or PPNR.
In that document, I think spelling it out is probably fine. Editorially, we'll probably condense it.
Okay, thanks. Removal from office, we've discussed this before also. There's nothing inherently new in here from what we've already talked about. So it is showing what's different. It shows the background. Wyatt and I worked on this one, mainly Wyatt. And so this is one of those things where we realized when we started talking about the removal from office policy and procedure stuff that we didn't have we had a situation where board subcommittee chairs that had been elected had the executive board had the authority to remove them, and so we're correcting that here. It's the main purpose of this is that subcommittee, anyone who's elected needs to be removed by the membership. So I don't think there's anything different there. Vacancies and elections is new, and so Michael and I worked on this one. So background that we realized with the situation with the secretary that we didn't have anything in the bylaws to account for the situation where we don't have a candidate at all for the April election meeting. And so this is to provide something to handle that. And so it shows the current is in Article 4, Section B. There's no mention made of a situation where the candidate's identified. In Article 4, Section E, which will become Section F with this renumbering. And Tom, you and I need to maybe sit down and have some time this afternoon between my alarm company visits to figure out how we handle this numbering thing. Because we're sticking in Section D for the monitoring task force that renumbers it. So I think Section E becomes Section F, but currently it's Section E, vacancies. So proposed is to put in the nominations and election section, add before the last paragraph, all this would be new. Should an office remain unfilled at the regular officer election meeting in April, an election will be held for that office at the annual membership meeting in June or at the next membership meeting at which a candidate is found. The current office holder will remain in the position until the first executive board meeting of the new fiscal year, at which time a vacancy shall be declared. I guess we should say if there's no candidate. Well, no, it's just it will be declared, and then see Article 4, Section E, vacancies, which I think will be Section F.
Rather than doing that, people, this, I'm sure people have not memorized the bylaws.
Yeah, that's
However,
true.
as a general precedent, you generally add things on the end rather than, even though it's logically may not be in the right place. If people, for some reason, remembered that Section E used to be this, and now it's no longer that, that's kind of a bad thing. So, and
maybe
putting on
I
the end,
just take it out, just say vacancies, section vacancies, or
well, I'm saying don't when you're inserting that outreach task force, is there a reason that you've inserted it out of order, changing the order?
Yes, because it kind of fits with the.
No, I said that's what I said. It fits, but it's wrong.
I see. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, why don't you and I talk about that, because that's kind of an editorial thing. Does that sound okay to everybody? Okay, and then Article 4, Section E, change to F, same thing, vacancies. The vacancies shall be filled by a vote of the membership at the next, and we take out regular right now. Regular is in there. It could be a special meeting or an urgent meeting. The next membership meeting to either complete the unexpired term of the officer being replaced or to fill a position in which a candidate was not identified by the end of the April membership meeting, pursuant to outreach task force procedures described in Article 7, Section B, outreach task force, as well as the PPR. It's in the PPR. How does that? Okay, and then there's more.
Just a quick question, Nancy. So I'm just thinking, I guess at a next membership meeting, to me, we might have an instance where we have to have a special meeting or an urgent meeting. I can't remember which of the two, but
Mhm.
to, I mean, Gary has a hard stop at the
Right.
end of June, I think. And if somebody else had a hard stop for whatever reason, and you couldn't find someone, you wouldn't want to wait maybe 2 months between meetings.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
why we took out the word regular.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and basically this is where Michael had an objection when we talked about this the other, I think, night. Like, meetings are running together, but was that we didn't want to have somebody be able to just stay in the position whether they wanted to or not for months. And so this is something that we chatted about it would go until the next executive board meeting, because we've got this situation that the new board isn't taking over till July 1, and we don't want the person to be kicked out of office on June 30th. They can always resign if they absolutely have a hard stop, but it would be nice to at least keep them on until the next executive board meeting when we decide what we're going to do at that point.
Mhm.
And the executive board could then, which is the next paragraph, a
Mhm.
vacancy
Got
is established, and then in the event that any office is vacant, the executive board shall reassign the related tasks associated with the vacant position among its members, or shall fill the position by appointment of an NCAC member on an interim basis until the position is filled by a vote of the membership. So that
Okay.
latter part could be the same officer already that's in the position, should they agree to do that, but it could also be someone new. But it gives some options for the executive board to deal with it at the first executive board meeting if there's still a vacancy. So we're hoping that won't be the case. But at that point, if it turns out that the executive board on the July meeting knows that they have a candidate, they could appoint that person until, and they could decide, oh, let's have a special meeting in July to elect the person, or they could wait till the August meeting and this person could just be working under the auspices of the executive board appointment until the August meeting. So it gives some flexibility to the executive
Okay.
board to handle things. Michael, you and I had quite a discussion. Do you want to add to any of that?
I think you pegged it, and that is that prior to adding this clause, the executive board really didn't have options to deal with things. So this gives the executive board a wide range of options that are appropriate and meaningful, but also gives a nod to the membership at somewhere down the road to make sure that they are the ones who are doing the election. But and note in here the first sentence has to do with who's going to handle the actual tasks that are associated with a vacant position, and this gives the executive board the option of distributing those tasks, to whomever the executive board chooses.
Do we have a provision in the bylaws, either a definition or some kind of provision which defines what the shorthand reference to PP&Rs are?
Good question, Tom. I think it's at the beginning.
Yeah, the PP&R is defined.
Where?
It was P and P, but
Right at the top there.
Yeah, there it is.
so, but do we have this? Do we have it in the bylaws,
That's
Tom?
the background statement. I'm talking about the bylaws.
Yeah, here I've got them up.
Well,
Seemed like we did. We referred
I
to it
believe
a
that
number of
all
times.
well, I'll verify that, but I believe all acronyms have been defined before they're used, first use.
Yes.
They have to be defined in the bylaws for that reference to be applicable.
So the first place that we have it is in Article 3 under members, and we say the NCAC areas within the Nesquin watershed in Tillamook County, a reference map showing the NCAC areas and the NCAC policies and procedures, parentheses P&P document. But Wyatt, I'm kind of thinking it might not hurt to have something just saying that it's got to be here somewhere. maybe it's in references. Or not references, in the other, let's see, I think it's
What is
in
it you're
Article
struggling
10.
with?
I think it's in Article 10.
I don't
Something that
understand the issue.
that defines that there is a policies and procedures document.
Oh,
Yes,
define-
section
okay,
C,
not the
it's
acronym, the actual
it's Article,
document.
yeah, it's Article 10, Section C, policies and procedures. The NCAC may establish a policies and procedures document that lists the rules detailing the administration and implementation of the functions of the NCAC. The P&P may be amended, but with a simple majority vote of the NCAC membership. These rules should not conflict with these bylaws or the OPML.
Yeah, I just, and I don't want to pick the nit here, so to speak, but the failure to, the lack of a definition of PP&Rs in the bylaws themselves, where it says as.
It is. I just read that out of the bylaws, Wyatt.
It doesn't define it without PP&Rs, Nancy. It just
It's
makes a
saying-
reference to P and Ps. It doesn't create a definition.
You're talking about Article 10,
If you want
Section
to
C,
cross, do you
Wyatt?
want to cross-reference? Is that what you want? Because it is defined in the bylaws.
Let me stop sharing this and I'll go over to the section of the PP&R. Okay, can you guys see the bylaws here? So this is Article 10, other bylaws provisions. So Wyatt, are you saying you think we need to amend this? We're going to amend it to policies, procedures, and references, but it says the NCAC may establish a policies, procedures document, change to references,
Yeah,
that lists the rules detailing the administration and implementation of the functions of the NCAC. Is that not enough of a definition?
well, not really, I don't think. I think it should, somewhere the reference should be as here and after defined or stated as PP&Rs. So that essentially you've created that reference in the bylaws that would affect the bylaw changes that we're proposing because they're worded in not necessarily policies, procedures, and references, but the
Right.
shorthand reference.
Right. So that's what Tom's first change in the bylaws is to change anything that says policies and procedures or P&P to policies, procedures, and references or PP&R.
Okay.
So that's what, so let me stop sharing here and go back to the bylaws changes. So I'm confused on whether you think we need to actually actually define them more,
Yeah.
or
I mean,
whether
we haven't officially stated that that's in the background, but it's not in the bylaws.
It is in the bylaws. You
I
just saw it in the bylaws. The current instances of policies and procedures, or P&P, will be changed to policies, procedures, and references and PP&R. It becomes
Okay.
consistent if you have this change.
And where is it in the new amendment, Tom?
That's it. That is
this
all instances. I didn't
So-
list the individual instances.
so
It's a blanket change.
Wyatt, I think what will help with this is when we do the red line version, then you'll actually see in Article 10, Section C, policies, procedures, and references with the red line showing. That's what we're missing here. In this is so basically what we could do here is say, and I agree with you, I'm just gonna move it over. So current, what we can do is say, so, but we could say, basically what this is we have PP&R or PPP policies and procedures or P&P throughout the bylaws. They're defined in Article 10, Section C. And we can, but what's going to happen here is, let me
Yeah,
suck this.
all I'm talking about is incorporating into the bylaws formally the shorthand reference to PP&Rs,
Right.
which we do
And
not have.
so, what we're doing here is changing it. We do have it. We just have it as policies and procedures currently in the bylaws.
Well, where does it say the acronym PP&Rs refers to the policies, procedures, and references?
That will be in Article 3. It's defining the acronym. Now, we
Okay,
could have a reference of C, whatever section.
yeah, I think if we're gonna be using it throughout these documents, we better be clear that that's an adopted reference to PP&Rs. And I'm sorry to nitpick it, but
I completely don't understand what your issue is. On first use, it's defined. That definition is further amplified in that section D. So I don't see the deficit. It is consistent with this change.
it is consistent, but where, Tom, does it say that shorthand reference refers to the PP&Rs?
As convention,
Definition. Somewhere in the,
on first use of policies, procedures, and references, there will be a parenthesized PP&R. That
Okay.
is the standard way of defining an acronym.
All right, so therefore, under the propose, it should be may establish policies, procedures, and references. And in parentheses after that, it should be PP&Rs, right?
That's the proposed change here. Yes.
It's not in the change. You just automatically go to the shorthand reference.
Okay.
I think what he's
Nancy, would you
suggesting,
please put up Article 3 now?
I think what White is saying is
Now.
that, yes, I
don't want to talk about it. I want to see it.
yes, I'm getting it. Here's Article 3. It's right here.
And that sentence, the end of that sentence will now change to policies, procedures, and references, PP&R. That's the way that acronyms are defined in standard and all the documents I've ever used.
So
So
I
is
do
that
think,
insufficient? No, let's not go on from that. I want to close that loop. Is that insufficient? You're not where we were before. We need to go back. We need to have agreement.
I
one
see it,
step at a
Tom,
time.
thanks.
Is that sufficient?
Is that going to be changed to PP&Rs?
That's what the
Yes.
first change in the proposed
in the bylaws
amendments are.
amendments. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Well,
to be an editor, as long as we're going to be talking about these things, informally, that probably works. But
No, it's
formally, if
formal.
somebody wants to challenge it, that's not really the kind of wording you would typically use.
so Wyatt, I think the difference is that you're seeing what we're going through today is a document summarizing the changes, the amendments.
Uh,
There will be an accompanying document that will be posted along with this for the feedback section, actually, that's a redlined document that shows these changes on the bylaws, on the current bylaws. So I think that may help what you're talking about, so that you'd actually see this change to NCAC policies, procedures, and references in the bylaws themselves.
So,
But
I'm
the
not-
document we've been going through has been just the summary of the changes, the amendments that we're proposing.
okay, well, I'm a little.
So
I could just tell you that from my standpoint, that would have been insufficient, and that's probably my formality of looking at statutory
So-
construction. So,
but I
well,
want
it's
to
not
go
a
back.
statute, but
Okay,
uh,
I want to
yeah.
go back though to what White's saying here in Article 10, Section C, Tom. And I understand that as an editor, you only put the abbreviation if after the first time, but when it's a section about the whole document, I don't think it would hurt to then put in parentheses abbreviated or put in comma abbreviated as PPNR. Would it?
No, it's not gonna hurt.
And it would be an editorial change, and I think it would clarify.
Okay, so I've not worked with legal document, well, I have worked with legal documents, but generally I've worked with international standards, and that is convention and standards for an acronym.
Yeah, and
Now,
I
if we
accept that,
wanted,
Tom. I'm telling you what my background is, and that's
yeah,
however we decide to work this, that's fine, but I want to raise the issue.
how
So,
about if we said section C of whatever thing
which
for
is
the
longer.
definition?
So
I
we're
think if
spending
you
a lot
just-
of time on this. Could we just, I'm sorry, we have a lot to cover. And I think this is something that more might be a little better. Can we just say that we will put abbreviated as PP&R throughout the document in section C?
Yeah,
Tom,
I don't know what exactly you're saying, but I think we need to go on.
yeah, okay. Well, I'm suggesting that we actually say in here, may establish as a policy, whatever. Yeah, I'll talk to
Okay.
you. So add in here, document abbreviated
The one you're changing
as
isn't on the screen.
P, P, and R. Okay, yeah, sorry. Stop there, go back. Nope. Abbreviated as PPNR, comma. And we can wordsmith this, Tom, but does that?
Okay.
I think that would satisfy White's concern and wouldn't cause a huge problem. Does that sound okay?
yeah.
Okay. Why? Okay, we're gonna move on. Okay, so we are down here at covered removal in office, vacancies and elections. Everybody okay with? Okay, let's see. We did communicate that. We're down on. Yeah, I think everybody was okay with vacancies and elections. Communications task force. This is no change from what we've talked about before. So agreed. Anyone have any concerns about communications task force? We'd already agreed on it. Monitoring task force. So yeah, we were already here. That we have a new article, section D. So we've covered that. Sorry, I'm a little out of kilter here. So basically what we're doing here, Susan and I had talked about moving this, it really belongs as a bylaw, we think. And then we take what was in the policy basically for the monitoring task force and move it over here to the bylaws. So it replaces and edits policy 12. So the edit in it is to have it report to the vice chairperson. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look at, there may be knock-on changes, so that will be, I guess that'll be all right.
Okay, yeah, look at it,
Change
Tom.
for the sake of change is not particularly palatable to me, but we can change it.
I'm sorry, what's not
I don't know
palatable?
why you want to move it out. It doesn't, yeah, okay, if you want to move it out, there may be other changes that happen as a result of that. As a knock-on effect, things get rearranged, and that's
Okay, oh,
a
with
lot of
policy
editing.
numbers.
I don't know, I think I'll have time, but
Okay,
I only have so much time between the two committees.
I
Maybe I'm
understand.
being a little short, but I mean,
I understand, Tom, and I will be happy to help with some of that too. And I know you don't like me touching your document, but lean on me. I actually have time. I had a friend coming in from Portland for a week and she had to bail, so that I have lots of time. Anyway,
it's not that I don't like it, it's just that it's impossible. It's impossible to keep things in sync unless there's a single point of change.
I
unless you have
understand.
software support, and we don't have that.
I understand. I do.
Mhm.
So if it becomes a huge deal, you and I can talk and we can have something.
In
It would be
principle, yes, we
it
could
would be
do
an
that.
editorial change to fix
Mhm.
numbering and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, any other comments on this?
Mm-mm.
Okay, membership meetings, special and urgent. This is something that Mark had asked for that we've already talked about, that he wanted to have the executive board concurrence wherever possible to call additional meetings, special or urgent meetings. And so we had already talked about this. Any other comments on it? Executive board actions. This is another one where we just thought we caught it. We had put for some reason that we should make the executive board should make recommendations for approval in regular membership meetings. And it occurred to us as we're going through, well, why can't they make recommendations for urgent and special membership meetings too? So we're just taking out the word regular and adding in properly noticed membership meetings. It's kind of a small thing, and that's it. So I know I'm sorry that we're having to do so much here at the end, and I hear the frustration. How are you guys feeling at this point in recommending these changes?
Good.
Mhm.
Fine, works.
Okay. I will send this out to everybody after the meeting, and Tom, you and I can talk about fixing this thing on the first section here, because I know I kind of managed this badly, but I'm going to save this as number 4, which I should have started with. And there'll probably be a 5 after we get done with it. So I'm going to, can I have a motion to approve the bylaws amendments as amended?
So moved.
So moved.
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion? All
The
in
only
favor?
discussion is that we'll have to change the title of it and the
Okay,
heading as proposed rather than draft.
okay, thank you,
Thank you.
okay.
Good. Yep.
Any,
Second.
thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the bylaws amendment, the proposed bylaws amendment document as amended, please say aye.
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 Okay, it sounds like no objections, motion carries. Thank you very much, you guys. Now we're gonna, it's 10:20. I hope everybody can stay till at least 11:30, but we've covered pretty much everything else. Before we get into PP&R, I just want to briefly talk feedback session for planning. It sounds like all of us will be there tomorrow. Again, I don't know how many. I'll send out a note with what the registration looks like later, but I'm not anticipating a lot. And I have the agenda. Everything is in the meeting folder for the current stuff I've been updating as we've had it. So it's all on the events page, and we'll update it again today after this meeting or tomorrow morning at some point with the latest versions to go through. And so tomorrow I anticipate we'll go through the bylaws changes like we've done today, and then go to the policies, procedures, and references document and go through pretty quickly. And Tom, thank you so much for the presentation update. And I know we've got a few more updates on it, but I think I don't get the impression people care that much about going into the details. So I think if we go through the main slide and then go through the detail, if people are interested, we can get through it pretty quickly. Any comments on any of that? Okay, so Tom, you are on. And
Okay.
thank you again, because he has not had much time to turn this document, either of these documents around.
Or the other ones. Okay. So I've not made all of the updates that you specified in your document because I didn't open it up till just 10 minutes before the meeting. So let me go ahead and share. And I propose we just go through the changes and say yay or nay.
Yeah, sounds good.
And Susan does have a place to be at 11:30, so we need to move it along here.
Right, right.
Okay, did I get the right one? I don't.
Revision 35.
Yeah, okay, that should be
Yeah, you
36
have,
now.
and yeah. And I'll kind of follow along with version 35, Nancy.
Okay, okay, and this is B36. So I'm suffering through a new version of Word.
Thank you, Tom.
And it does some things that I didn't anticipate it doing, which carried over into the presentation. So let me get out of that. So I just updated those, and it does have the capability of doing cross references. So I've used those. One of those blew up. I don't know why in the previous markup.
So,
Go ahead.
so some of these that are just editorial, we probably don't need to go through that. Like I had that you have procedure 3 on under inclusiveness participation. I think that needs to be meeting, it should be policy 15.
15. I
Mhm.
was just changing that as we were
Yeah.
actually what
This procedure 3 is still meeting minutes.
ooh, that was ugly. Okay, I'll fix that. Let me just delete that. Can't, in case I forget to fix it. Okay. And that's meeting documents, okay?
Mhm.
And nothing else, all right?
Right.
So
I mean,
then
I read it really quickly late last night. So, but yeah, I thought that looked good.
I probably read it more times than I have. Okay, next change. Just added that description. I've deleted, since we're getting ready for this to be approved, I've gone ahead and deleted all of the assignments.
Yes, thank you.
And that's just a forward reference, since I figured, unfortunately, this is a hyperlink, but it doesn't format it as one. Cute. Okay, that's in that one, delete. Okay, that and that. Okay, now you wanted to remove this from here. Is that correct?
You're on page 8 for me.
I just highlighted it before. That's as far
Yes,
as I got.
yes, yes. And I realize that's going to kill you as I'm thinking about it. But that's all moved to the bylaws.
Okay, so we'll delete that. And references. Not references, review. They're both our words. Except that. Have to go from the bottom to the top. If you go from the top to the bottom, it does something different. I love
Yes, yes, because of the numbering. Yeah.
it. Okay, now this is section. Ooh, we took that. All right. So this is, I think we have just.
So
We've
that should be
discussed this.
changed to updates to the PPNR.
Why?
It's not just because we added into their updates to the policies, procedures, and references, and then the second paragraph is the references section. So the new title we had said
Oh,
would
okay.
be
We
updates to
added
the,
that. Update to PPR. Okay. Gotcha.
and for Wyatt, I might just say we could spell it out.
Yeah, headings don't really have much impact.
Oh, you're saying you're
Well,
okay with
we
it
could
this
do
way?
it, we could say this document.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
With a capital O to make it more important. Okay. Any changes? Or is that okay?
I think that's good.
No objections? We'll accept that. Now, it's meeting documents, which I like better.
Mhm.
Accept that.
Mm-hmm.
Procedure 3.
Mhm.
Oops. Hopefully people saw that, if that wasn't too fast. I just made this change because this sentence didn't make any sense.
We're in procedures now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any other policies that needed to change?
No, I think you got them all.
Okay, so I just made this into an actual sentence,
Uh-huh.
which I thought was kind of nice to do.
Uh-huh.
Let me see that. Accept this change. Okay. And then they were indented, so I just changed formatting.
So procedure 6, so we don't forget it. I just sent that out last night and I'm apologize. I was getting to so many other things and I thought, I can write that really fast. So I sent it out last night to you guys in a separate email. And when we get through this, if we could go to procedure 6 that I put in the folder as a separate document, I'd appreciate it. It's a quickie one, but let's not forget.
Okay. Okay, so then next. And accept that. And this is at least 3 expire, yeah.
So procedure 10, have you gotten to 10 yet?
Yeah, we're past 10.
Okay, if we could get to 10. If we could add in, because of this, the monitoring task force, and the communications task force reporting directly to a chair, so if we could add in the second paragraph, the after whether they are interested in being a chairperson, parentheses, unless the task force is chaired by an officer.
Right here.
Yes. Right there, parentheses, unless the task force is chaired by an officer.
That correct?
Mm-hmm. And parentheses too. Yes. All right, you're not doing
No,
parentheses.
not
Yes, that's
parents. Parentheses
perfect.
are not good.
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Any objections? Okay. Okay. This is procedure monitoring task force, so this should stay the same, right?
Correct.
Okay. Uh, any objections to this change?
And thank you for already adding the stuff about the vice chairperson in there.
And we'll make that. Oops, sorry. Where is it? Oh, okay. I have to say, yes twice. Okay, that's nice. I like that. That should have not be okay, 3 times apparently. It's really important to get that bullet out of there. Okay. Okay, 3 to 7. Yeah, that sounds right.
You know, in the previous section, I think we have something about members should be fewer than 15. This is kind of arbitrary, that statement in there. But
Yeah, it is.
we can always change it. It says it's
Well-
a should, it's not a shall.
Right. And the reason for that is human factors. At 15, it's not a small group anymore.
Right.
Okay, accept that. And that one we got rid of. We
Yeah.
get it, the
Yes.
text got moved.
Yes.
And I did rewrite it. People have had, I guess, a week or so or more for my rewrite. Anybody object to it?
I have to admit, Tom, I haven't looked at it, but I'm sure it's great. Michael, have you had a
Well,
chance to look at it?
Wyatt did look at it, and
Good.
he and I
Thank you,
agree
Wyatt.
that nothing was lost other than
Okay.
one statement
Bullets.
which was incorrect, which was the county records actually do have mailing addresses for owners. And the other one was you can have a mixed survey. We don't have the capability of doing that. So I just
Yeah,
deleted.
that was a little
deleted it.
more, I have no objection to that second one. The first one, I wanted to go back and get back to you on it, and thank you for pointing those out. But it was, the intent of that was that you may be able to find owner addresses, but you're not going to find renter addresses necessarily.
Yeah,
Well, the address of the renter is the address in Nesquin. And you
Well,
would probably, you would have that.
As long as it's built,
Built.
right?
True.
As long as
True.
you've got, as long as it's not just a vacant lot.
If somebody's renting on a vacant lot, I have problems with that.
Living
I'm just-
in an RV. Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. I suppose it doesn't really
I think they'd be
matter
more
in terms of
likely to be
sending out a
spotted.
survey. The county should know who actually has because if it's just a tax lot, then it's not going to have a physical address. So a street address probably. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. I think you're right. Thank you. I accept.
And that.
Mhm.
This will be updated. I'll put the spray paint on it. I just
Okay.
haven't gotten to that yet.
Mhm.
Apparently, I've heard from several people, Susan included, that they like the little spray paint thing. So
Mhm.
I do too. I love it.
very helpful, Tom.
okay, so I'll add that. But
That'll
this
be an
is
editorial. Yeah.
yeah, spray paint's editorial. Always is actually, even if it's on a wall. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna accept that. And this, I couldn't put it, I had to use arrows. I couldn't do it anymore that way because of the size of the map. Okay. Vice chairperson, Steph, we've checked that.
So job
and-
descriptions, can I just say a few things about job descriptions? We've stuck those in thinking that we would need them for everybody, but I'm not sure that we would. So the duties of the chairperson, I do want to do in the future, but I don't think we'll try to do it now. So if that can be a future like you have in there already. The duties of the vice chairperson, I want to do next year after we've kind of settled in with these new duties, but I don't think we should put in what's there because those are in the bylaws. Those are just identical to the bylaws, so it doesn't add anything. So I'm thinking we should just put in the same statement about future. That'll be described future because I think we want to put in a few thoughtfully a little more detail on setting up presentations and inviting speakers and that kind of thing that we just haven't had time to do yet. Does that sound okay to people?
Mhm.
And then the duties of the treasurer is a future, and I like leaving it the way it is right now. And the secretary, we're pretty well done with. So, and then the duties of the immediate past chairperson, I just don't think we need it. I think it's covered in the bylaws. It's basically to be there to kind of help the chairperson in the first year as needed, kind of as a resource. So, I'm wondering if we can just eliminate it.
I have no problem with using the delete key.
What do people think? Any objection?
No,
Okay. And then we have the communications task force job description, which is done. And at some point, we might want to look at moving the monitoring task force stuff down there, but for now, let's just leave it the way it is. I'm wondering under reference 7 with the current ad hoc subcommittees and task forces, if we should say that this is for that ad hoc, it is for ad hoc. Okay, so for anything standing, they go in the bylaws, but if they're ad hoc, they stay in the
Right.
policy, in the policies and procedures. So. Yeah, so I think, hey, we went through this like nobody's business, Tom.
It's everybody's business.
Good point.
Repartee.
Okay. So that is now 36, and let's see if we have any changes. I think there may be some editorial stuff I need to do is clean up. I'll have to check it.
Yeah, you have a little bit of cleanup in the presentation, but I think you can go through that at your leisure. There's nothing, you'll have the changes from the document to put in the presentation anyway. So for the presentation that I sent you, I just put it in comments because for some reason it wouldn't let me. I don't know. I just stuck it in as comments. So hopefully you'll be able to see them.
Microsoft puts all the rookies on PowerPoint, and then if they're any good, they go to Word, and if they're not, they go to Outlook or Excel.
Okay.
That's my theory on hiring practices at Microsoft. Do we want to? I need to come back to that because you
Yes.
have that. So you have that?
Shall we do that now? Yes, I
let's
have
do
that now. Okay.
Actually, did you send it out? I assume you sent it out.
I sent it out. You should have it. It's in the meeting folder. It's under, let me get to the meeting folder. It's what is it called? Sorry, I put it in there. I know I did. I hope I didn't send it to the wrong meeting folder. Oh yeah, it's at the top because it's a Word document. I just stuck it as a Word document up there. It's not a shortcut.
Okay.
It's at the very top.
Yeah. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I have to add it and then delete.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, and it highlighted it for me. Oh, I love this. Yes, I do. I actually do. Yeah. I'm lying here.
I know.
Okay. Okay. So we now have it.
Great. So basically, the procedure is, it's probably more of a policy, but NCAC emails should be signed for each NCAC officer, committee chairperson, and task force chairperson. The NCAC email addresses should be used for all correspondence to and from an executive board member for NCAC business, so that easy record keeping is maintained according to OPML requirements.
This is a
The
policy. This isn't a procedure, actually. As you said.
maybe these email addresses shall be maintained by the secretary or designated, I think you're right, communications task force member, and shall be transferred to the new executive. It can take over for that policy that was the monitoring task force, and then your numbring doesn't have to change.
No, it's already screwed up.
Okay.
Already
All right.
modified. That'll be fixed.
It is a policy,
but-
isn't it? Yeah.
But what we meant to do with this one was to actually list them.
No,
Maybe
that's in
that should be-
references.
That's in
That's
references.
references. Yeah, we have it in references.
Oh,
We just,
okay, so yeah, this should be a policy.
yeah. Yep. And we don't have them yet because Gary's still trying to figure out how to set them up. But so the references section has them as a feature, but this is the policy.
It's
for it.
policy 17.
Okay.
It's not policy 1. Oh, interesting. Okay. I know how to fix that, I think. Go over here, make it that, and then go back over to policy. Oh, I love this. We'll do it one way or another. Trust me, I'll fix it.
We trust you, Tom.
Did I mention how much I like? No, never mind. Never mind. What else?
So anyway, can you maybe make it look clean just for the moment so we can read it? Make sure people are okay.
Okay, I'll get rid of that and go over to review and no markup. Okay.
Thank you. So basically that they'll be assigned and they'll be used and that they shall be maintained by the secretary or designated communications task force member and should be transferred to the new executive board member upon taking office. The secretary or designee shall provide support as needed for this because, you know, I've done it for our committees, subcommittees email address, and you actually have to do some things on your computer to set it up to communicate with your, you know, through, as another mail service, and some people may need help with that. And then the secretary designee, but will maintain the password or other security access control. Access to the email shall be available to the secretary. So it's all under OPML. It's not like people can set up their own NCAC email addresses and use them. They're all transferable with the office. So what do you all think about that?
I agree.
Yep.
Okay. I see Michael nodding, I think. So, okay. Thank you. Okay. And the other features that are in this document, I really think, I kind of looked at them. I just don't think they're doable for this year. There'll be things for us to do next year. And I appreciate Wyatt a few meetings ago saying, you know, we don't have to do it all now. In the legal world, there are placeholders for this kind of thing. And these are placeholders. So I think we've
is
got a
that-
good looking document.
So are those placeholders, that language that I've used? Let's see, and wherever one is.
There's one under voting.
Yeah, well, there's actually straw polls, for instance. I'm not gonna have time to rewrite this, but there are questions in here. Should I put the caveat that this is work in progress? Or do
Um,
we leave it that way or what? I don't know. What do you want to do?
so when you say there are questions, you mean there are questions where you have concerns? It's not just
No.
editorial?
Well,
By whom?
for future consideration, we talked about that
Ah.
last time, didn't we?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
What, so when you say rewritten it, I was thinking you were saying reformatted, but, so yeah, what can we say here? To be expanded upon or to be,
Wyatt, you had that term.
Well, yeah, if you could even take it out if you wanted to and just so straw polls reserved for future use. And then we insert it later. But I think Tom wants to make sure that we get some content about this to the people who are going to be approving our bylaws, right, Tom?
yeah, ideally, if we can, okay, we got two alternatives. We can either answer the questions here or put it as a caveat that this is work in progress.
I don't
or
think we, yeah,
delete it altogether.
I don't think we need to do that. I think we need to keep a record for ourselves.
Okay.
And then in the future, we deal with it. I mean, we
Okay.
could,
but we
do
leave it
this.
in though, right? We leave it
Yes,
in.
yes. Yeah.
Um,
We could
so,
do this all day long.
right. So I think we take out the questions and reserve them for us.
Yeah, right.
Because I think we're going to have modifications to the whole document
All the
next year
time. All the
in
time,
general.
yeah. It's
It's
a
a living
living
thing.
document. Mhm.
Okay. I think this was not a real question, so I
Have
think
you
we're all
stopped
right.
thinking that?
Well,
Oh, that's an example. That's an
that's an
example.
example. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the have you, yeah, the beat your wife example or something edited.
That's always the classic, isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
How about if you beat your husband? Come on now,
Right,
let's
right.
let's
be
equalize it up a
let's
little
be
bit.
non-sexist too. So shall we say reformatted?
Or we don't have to say anything really.
No,
If
because
we're
we're
going
allowed
to
to
do
do
it, we're
that.
going to do it.
Right, right. Yeah, that sounds good.
And I think that was the only one. No, there may have been one other one that I wanted to do.
Yeah, I think there's some where we have
Okay, here's like
placeholders about, oh,
separate procedures needed.
yeah, I think we just take that out and we'll, when it comes time to do a candidate form, we'll write them. It's or maybe we'll actually have that as on a list of action items to do. We can keep this version, right?
Yeah.
R35 version and to go back and refer to before we've taken these questions out.
Okay, and these are all questions that rhetorical questions. Okay.
They're questions to help assist in the writing of the polls
Yeah.
or the, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think that may be the only example, but I'll take the principle that if there's a question of more stuff needed here, note this would be new, for instance. I will delete that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Changing the order and all that stuff. I'm not sure it makes sense to go through the presentation at this point. Because
No,
it no longer corresponds to the document.
right. Yes, sorry.
It's all right. I'm not bitter.
Well, we knew this would be a energetic meeting, so.
Yes. Well, I suggest rather than everybody watching me agonizingly go through the edits, I would go off and do that myself.
Yeah.
And I hate to use this phrase, trust me, I'll do it.
Well, if you could send it out to us when you're done, we'll have a
Yeah.
chance to get back to you. And since the feedback session isn't until 1:30, we do have a
Oh,
little
it's
time
still
in the morning.
1:30. I got all the time in the world. Okay. You are so kind to me.
I know, we try.
Feedback draft you send us
Uh,
today.
What's that, Susan? I couldn't hear you.
Feedback I found in the draft you send us today. I'm joking.
You're breaking up. Sorry,
That was,
I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Little bit.
Sort of.
He's just kind of making a joke, so disregard.
There.
Okay.
laugh inserted here. Okay.
Yeah. Good to
Okay,
laugh.
fair enough.
Well,
Okay,
Tom, thank you for wrestling with all this. And does anyone have any comments on the policy, procedure, and references document at this point? Are you feeling like you're a little rushed, or are you feeling pretty comfortable with things?
I feel
Or
like I'm
both,
rushed.
or
but-
both. A little, no, a little rushed, or are people feeling comfortable? Or
I
both?
think what we have here is solid.
Yeah,
We're just missing pieces that we'll just do later.
Mhm.
Well, my sense is that will always be the case. You know, there'll be changes each time and every time we look at this document.
I think
Yeah,
it's pretty darn impressive myself.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a nice job. It's a very good product. It's anal retentive.
Well,
Okay, we changed. I'll need to review these, make sure they didn't change. I don't think they
Right.
did, but
so does anyone have anything they'd like to talk about on this before we take a vote?
No.
Okay, so could someone make a motion
I
to
move that we
approve?
move this forward to the membership for approval.
second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, and I will just say, I'll add in pending input from the feedback session, but yes, I guess with any amendments that we agree upon from the feedback session. How's that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving this to be sent forward to the membership and to the county for approval pending input from the feedback session tomorrow, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Tom,
Let
were
the
you
record
saying
show
something?
it's version 36, revision 36.
Thank
I
you.
should
We
say
will add that to the motion, Michael. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
So we might have version 37 tomorrow, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. Thank you so much. Can you stop sharing, Tom?
There I am oversharing again. Okay.
So we're actually through earlier than I thought we would, because we've already talked about basically about the feedback session planning. I'll just go back to that here quickly though. So we'll all be there tomorrow. Is it okay if we just kind of go through what we did before, where I just kind of call on different people to handle different sections kind of willy-nilly, ones that you tend to be the most familiar with, or do you want to be a little more organized with it?
You know what? I'm going to be surprised that somebody shows up. I'll expect 2-3 people again, and if that's the case, I think, you know, a cursory covering, and then allow our visitors to ask whatever questions they may have.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I'll drive the presentation.
Yes.
If we don't have a whole lot, if we get any comments at all, I mean, I can just run through rather than changing people, because that sometimes that creates more confusion on people. I can just run through it, and then if we have discussion, then the person who is the lead on it can take over.
Yeah, we could do that too.
Yeah.
I
Um,
mean, I don't care, your choice.
No, I think that sounds good. If I might do some interjecting myself too, but depending on how many we have, I will look after this meeting to see how many are registered, but I'll also look this after, and in fact, I could even do it if you want to hang on after we adjourn. I can go in and look quickly to see how many are registered, but and I'll keep checking, because sometimes though people show up without pre-registering.
Right, right.
I've
If
never
not,
done
so if not, if we only have one or two, I think it'll go pretty quickly. And if not, I'm not going to plan a Zoom poll question or anything. If we just have the five of us, we may just do a finished review of the document among ourselves in terms of going back up through the county. So when Tom sends out version 36 to us, please take a look. If you have some time tonight, take a look and get your comments as soon as you can to Tom.
Okay.
Because some of it's just, there's a ton of stuff. Susan, thank you for sending all these. Susan did a really thorough job and sent Tom a whole bunch of edits, and we're all good editors, and I have not taken that time. So thank you, Susan, for doing it. And Tom, thank you for incorporating everything, including all the changes that have happened over the last few weeks. So
for a
and
few
thanks to
minutes.
and thank you, everybody. I mean, this is really something to be proud of, I think. And so I just been, I know I keep saying it, but really you guys are the most fun committee to work with. We can have our debates, but we always come through it all. So
Yeah,
So-
the royalties are going to be huge on this, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I'm looking
right.
for it.
You can send it to other CACs.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, just wait till this comes out on audiobook.
Right.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that'll be a bestseller.
Yeah, that'll
I'm
be a
sure.
good
For
one.
those with insomnia,
So I think I don't see that. Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about, or can we just? I think we can adjourn at 11.
Good.
Okay, so I'm going to adjourn the meeting, and then I'm going to check I'm not going to have us go off, but I'm going to keep the recording on, and but I'm adjourning it at 10:59, and I'm going to go check the registration right now. Meetings. And registration. We have 4. Who are they? We have 2 registered who are not our committee members. So we do have 2 registered.
Who
So,
are they?
well, I guess it didn't hurt. Candace Anderson and Mike Churchill. So that doesn't mean they'll actually come, but they're registered. So, and then who knows? We may get some others coming.
Yep. Okay.
So thank you. Hopefully it'll be a short meeting tomorrow.
yeah.
Yep.
But thank you. How are you feeling? Okay, everybody feeling okay about things?
Jet lagged on my end.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I mean, I'm not jet lagged, but I didn't. You may not have been on. We were awakened last night at 3 a.m. with the interior siren of our burglar alarm going off intermittently and just sporadically, and like for 2 seconds to 20 seconds at a time, very, very loud. And so, yeah, it's been a fun night, and we had the alarm company was working with us over the phone this morning between 8 and 9. So I was barely here for the meeting and got it at least silenced so it wasn't going off during the meeting. And they're coming this afternoon to fix it. So I'm a little tired myself. Anyway, thank you guys. I'm going to, I guess we're already adjourned. I'm going to stop the recording.
Bye-bye.